Hi everyone, and welcome to our special careers event for MIMA School of Art and Design at Teesside University. I'm Professor Sarah Perks. I'm a curator, which means I put together exhibitions and projects, but I specialise in people as opposed to things. And I'm also head of art and design here. Just want to say a big thank you for joining us today. And giving us the opportunity to talk to you about MIMA School of Art and Design. Our school shares its name with MIMA, which is the art gallery and museum in Middlesbrough. That's the heart of our school, and I hope you've had the chance to visit or you will do soon. MIMA School of Art and Design might be a new name, but we are Teesside University, and also we've been teaching design for 50 years. I know I don't look old enough. Also in the Sunday Times, that big newspaper, MIMA School of Art and Design was rated this year as 8th in the UK for graduate outcomes. That's 8th in the whole of the UK. Apart from 8 being my lucky number, I think it means that we have a super amazing track record of our graduates getting jobs. So today we're going to introduce you to some of the subjects that you can come and study with us and a chance to meet some of our amazing team here. Before we run through these exciting subjects, just want to tell you a little bit about the creative industries. So the creative industries is a huge term and it encompasses lots and lots of different jobs in the sector. You could be anything from a pop star to a publisher. And what's important to note is that this industry is growing. It's really important financially to the UK economy, and it's also really important for well-being, for innovation, for all of us to live our best lives, basically. So the creative industries is worth around 92 billion to the UK and it employs over 3 million people. Between 2016 and 19, the jobs in the sector in the northeast of England grew by 30%. And in terms of future-proofing, it's unlikely that all of these will be replaced by robots. Robots are great for certain things, but they can't really create, design, and make art like people. Okay, so let's get on with telling you a bit more about these subjects and introducing some of my amazing colleagues. So I want to start with Mark Freary, and he's going to tell you about product design.
Hi there, I'm Mark Freary. I'm Programme Leader for Product Design. Today we put together a short presentation which showcases 4 of our more recent graduates from the last 4 or 5 years. Who have gone into varied careers within the design industry. I also want to give you a little insight into the type of work that they took while they were here at learned at Teesside in order to develop their portfolio and skills, which got them that first position in industry. Next, can you move the slide on, Jade? Okay, so the first student we've got, hopefully this will appear, is Callum Brookbanks. Callum was a local student. He came to us from A levels. He came to us not really knowing exactly what area, what career, what area of product design he wanted to go into. So his 3 years was quite a journey. He worked really hard. You know, during his second year, he won an award in the Student Star Pack Award, which is an international packaging competition, which was great for him, great for his CV, and it also means I got a night out at the award ceremony, which was fantastic. During his final year, his final project, he produced what you can see here, which was a sports ground marker using GPS technology. So in football grounds, instead of having a groundsman pushing a bucket of white paint around the field, they actually could just program this and it would go off and do its own thing, and allowing the groundsman to do their own thing. And it was the level of detail and understanding of the technology in this project that Callum went to that actually got him in his first position at a local company, well, a company based in County Durham called Eldis Caravans and Camper Vans. You may have heard of them. It was quite a daunting first position for him because it was very much a northeast engineering company, and as a well-known fact, engineers don't really like curves. So it was quite a baptism of fire for him in that first job, but he got there because of his level of detail and understanding of technology. And to be honest, I spoke to him just this morning. He's still there. You know, he graduated in 2016, so he's still there. He's still enjoying the job. His role has expanded. He's now working on not just the interiors but the exteriors of the camper vans and the caravans, working in not just plastic and metal but wood, fabrics. So you know, it was a great first job for him, but it was the actual work that he did at his time at Teesside that got him that first position. The second student is Beth Sanderson, who graduated in 2018. Beth is from Northumberland way. We weren't actually her first choice when it came to university. We were a second, but when she came to see us, saw the facilities, the resources, and met the people and met the students, we became her first choice. Beth was a very diligent student. Again, during her second year, she won the Gold Award in a student star pack competition for her design for an oil can that had a special delivery system, so the anti-glug. And again, we had a great night out in London, the award ceremony for that. Beth also secured an internship over the summer of her second year with a company called MIMA, which is a local company that do bathroom furniture. Again, great experience, great stuff for her CV. In her final project, she did what you can see here, some of the illustrations of the object here, which is a job site speaker. Okay, this is a job site speaker that works on Bluetooth. It can actually be split, so various parts of it could be used around a construction site. And it not only provided entertainment, but also provided a way of communicating with one another. So it's quite a detailed and a quite thorough project. I don't think you can actually make out the exploded view there to see the sort of detail that Beth went into in terms of the manufacturing and understanding how injection molding and mass production is done. And it was this that then got her first position, again, which is still there, working for a local company in Thirst PDM, which is run by one of our graduates, and now she works there full-time as a product designer in their RP department. Next one is Ralph Deluso. I think I need to speed up a little bit. Ralph again had a great journey with us. He won the Star Pack Award. We also did a live project in the second year with a company called Essie. They liked his work that he did during that line project, that they offered him a placement over the summer, which again was fantastic experience and great for his CV. During his third year's major project, he reversed engineered a toaster, as you can see here, as a live project for a company. That was recognised at an exhibition in London as one of the top 5 things in the show, which was fantastic considering there was hundreds and hundreds of students exhibiting that year. To be in the top 5 was great. And again, the company Essie, as you see here, who took him in as a placement, came back during the graduation, and they liked his work so much they employed him. They offered him an intern, and the 2 products you see here, these gas stoves, 2 of the products he produced in his time while he was working for Essie. He's now moved on and working for design consultancy. And the final student that come across is Martin Ellerts. He was a mature student, an international student from Latvia, who particularly came to product design at Teesside because he liked what he saw and what we do. Martin was a very talented man, worked in a body workshop before coming here, so he had a great idea, a great vision for form and detail. Again, he won competitions in his second year, Creative Conscience, did an internship over the summer designing a fire helmet for a local solar thermal imaging company. His final project was to do a yacht, as you can see in the imagery on the left there and in the little animation. Because of his experience in a body shop, he had, like I say, had a great idea for form and detail. So we knew he could take on a project of this immensity in terms of this big yacht. Martin always wanted to be a yacht designer. He went on to approach a company with his work. They offered him a two-month internship working at Dixon's Yacht Design in Southampton. Those 2 months have turned into years now. He still works for them, although now he's freelance, working from his hometown in Latvia, but still doing the same great work. The image you can see on the right there, the boat in the top, that was his first boat that actually hit the water that he worked on, and that was shown at Cannes exactly a year later from graduating. Okay, if we go to the last slide. Obviously, Teesside, we've been going for nearly 50 years, so we have graduates of our captains of industry, head of Aston Martin, head of Philips Healthcare, Teague in America. But today we just wanted to show you some more of our recent graduates and the sort of roles that the students go into from graduating. Thanks very much for listening.
Okay, now we're going to go to Charlie Tate, who's going to tell you about graphic design.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Sarah. I'm Charlie Tate. I'm senior lecturer, graphic design and illustration, graphic design with marketing, and also MA course leader. So graphic design and illustration gives you a broad skill set that opens up kind of a huge range of career pathways, as you're going to sort of see, I think, through this quick peek at the sort of student examples and profiles that we kind of show you. I think visual communication is increasingly relevant in today's world. It's a global language and it's a connected language. And so the opportunities are quite immense. From things like brand systems, so integrated kind of visual brand systems, through to a set of postage stamps, from an interactive kind of digital interface through to all sorts of manner of printed matter. Graphic design, visual communication is all around us, and all this stuff is made, and somebody's going to make it, and that could be you. So let's just look at some of our graduate careers now. So people who've gone out to industry from the course. So industry is ideas led, it's collaborative, and it's integrated. Very often you're working in small teams alongside people with diverse skills, maybe developers, maybe account managers, maybe copywriters. So the skills of visual communication slot into many different teams across a whole range of industries. So if we move on, please. We can see Jen Crutzen here. So she's a student that came to us from A-level. She now works at a company called Publicis Sapient, who are a global kind of communications agency, particularly focusing on sort of digital futures. So they work with clients to create digital products, digital services, and digital communications. Off the top of the head, one of their major clients is kind of M&S. They work with a major kind of banks. And she works collaboratively in this sort of environment, as you can see on screen, working and advising on the visual communication and putting those skill set into that team there. Ben Eli, he's a designer, again, came to us from A-level. He was really interested in kind of graphic design and fashion, and so when he graduated, we were really excited to hear for him that he'd kind of got a job at Depop, which is a second-hand kind of fashion-orientated marketplace. You may have heard of it, and he works there again using his skills of kind of visual communication, narrative storytelling, in order to completely keep invigorating their kind of platform and looking at how it works and feeding into working with developers, etc. There. Martin Craster, he's a really interesting example of a student that kind of came to us interested in illustration. As during his time on the course, he became really interested in kind of motion graphics and looking at how graphic design can move. And he started to create a style of kind of illustrative motion graphics. Worked in LA as a freelance illustrator and motion graphics content creator. I think that kind of grounding in the core skills of narrative, storytelling, and kind of sequential design put him in really good stead for his move to Twitter, where he now works as a user interface, user experience designer, and he sort of lives out in North Carolina. And again, as a common story, he's kind of integrating and feeding into a team of multi-skilled people. If we can move on, Jade. Thank you. A little bit closer to home then, we've got Fiona Plews, who she worked as an illustrator through the course, exploring sort of visual communication from that aspect. And now she works, she basically owns her own business. She's turned her illustrations into an entrepreneurial kind of activity, and she runs her business illustrating, but also she has to manage and develop all the skills of business, transferable skills of presentation and marketing, as she basically makes manufacturers, deals with manufacturers, and sells her a kind of a range of giftware that feature her illustrations. If we can move on. Rob Bedford. Again, another student that has kind of taken a more entrepreneurial route following the degree here. He now runs A Bonehead's Home, which is his company. He's kind of set it up, working with small to medium enterprises. And he does everything from kind of working with fast food businesses through to doing a lot of music videos and kind of digital album artwork for bands who are pushing music into the digital space. And again, Rob's an example of somebody who's not only developed those creative visual skills on the course, but has adapted, learned transferable skills, and uses his skills of marketing and also business knowledge to kind of establish himself as an entrepreneurial graduate. From a more specifically kind of illustration focus, we have graduates working across a range of publishers. So Helen Hurry works at Penguin Books. Robin Makings, she works with Noisy Crow, and prior to that she worked at Hallmark, who are obviously a large international kind of greetings company. I'm sure we all know kind of Hallmark cards. And so there's opportunities for illustrators in the publishing industries, but also inside working in-house in businesses, but also as kind of Robin works now as an agency, creating illustrations for a whole range of purposes and clients. We also have students that set up, I guess, around a process. An example would be Joe McDonnell. Some of his work's on screen now. And he's very much interested in printmaking. So he's established himself as a printmaker. He creates prints and sells prints. He does print work for clients, and he also runs classes and educates people in how to work with printmaking. And Mark Longworth, well, you can see on screen we've got a typographic publication that Mark created when he was here. It won an International Society of Typographic Designers Award, and Mark's transformed himself into a motion designer since leaving the course. And you can see some of his examples of his motion artwork on screen there. And he works in Bristol at Buff Motion. So as I said, visual communication, it's a global skill set. The language of visual is transferable. And just some of the international destinations of our alumni on screen there. So visual communication can be a passport. It can help you travel. And one thing we do on the course to try and get students used to working professionally from a very early stage is enter students into awards and competitions. We're just going to go through examples of award-winning work from students. So we've got everything from kind of advertising through to typography, through to creative kind of conscience work, working with kind of awareness around mental health for the last project there. Another factor that's really important is hearing and being networked. And so one thing that we aim to really do is bring in industry advice. So visiting speakers, people who are out there practicing, coming to the course and giving over their knowledge and their experience. And just the last thing to sort of leave you with is the idea that doing an education, doing a degree, it's about the network that you build up around you. And any of the disciplines you hear from today, it's really about how you use the degree not only for your creative skills but also to build a network. And one thing we're very keen on here at Teesside is bringing our alumni back into the course. And very often jobs and careers are built by the people you know around you. And so make sure that you are not only looking at the degree from what you get out of it practically, but how you might also use those skills and build those networks. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, Charlie, and some really great advice there at the end as well. Now I'm going to hand over to Lynn Hugel, who's going to talk about fashion.
Hi there. Hi, I'm Lynn Hugel. I'm course leader of fashion, and I'm just going to be talking to you about the wide range of career options that are in the fashion industry. Next slide, please. So there's many creative opportunities on offer in the fashion industry, and you might be surprised to know that the fashion industry is worth about 21 billion to the UK economy, so it's a huge amount. It's a really vibrant and creative business sector in this country, and I personally have had a really fantastic career working in London and internationally, working for brands, for suppliers, and then I also had an opportunity to work as a freelance consultant for brands such as M&S and Disney. But fashion design, which I'd studied, is not the only career pathway, especially due to the rise in sales online, which has happened during lockdown even more. There is retail, publishing, marketing, and also, like myself now, is in education. So a big range of career pathways. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about fashion design and production, and this is some of our graduate work, which is from Jack Swales, which was menswear. And this actually image here also is from Jack Swales, and that is a photo shoot that he's done with professional photographers who we work with on the courses. So within fashion design, there are quite a range of different categories you can go into, such as menswear, women's wear, and children's wear, and also you can specialise in tailoring, knitwear, lingerie and sportswear. That's just a few of them. You can do accessories as well. So within the course we work with our students in the final year to make sure that the portfolio that they have is going to suit the career aspirations that they want to go on and follow when they actually leave us. Other areas which there's actually a high demand in jobs is in a more technical areas. So that's with working with factories and designers, and that is garment technologist and also pattern cutting. And these roles are working with the designers and they're responsible for creating patterns and engineering garments. So all of the fashion roles will include some travel, which is great. That will be to factories, but also to visit trade fairs and going shopping with buyers. So if you like travel, it's a really great area to go into. Next slide, please. If you are interested in working more in fashion head office as a team, you might be more interested in the next slide that's coming up, which is as a buyer, a merchandiser or visual merchandiser. So looking at these are just three of the roles in head office. So if you're interested in buying, you'd be responsible for buying the range. It's quite a creative role. You'd need good research skills, good trend knowledge, and also the essential travel to trade fairs and fashion shows. So if you're interested in actually not really sort of buying ranges, but also working head office, the merchandiser role is more to do with budgets, looking at where garments go, so which garments go to which stores. The merchandiser works very closely with the buyer. There's also visual merchandising, and that's where you'd be working usually in head office, working for a retailer, and you'd be involved in the window and store display so that you can communicate the merchandise to the customer. And if you're looking at some of these roles, like the buying merchandising roles, you would need good numerical skills. So although there's a lot of travel, there's also a lot of spreadsheets in Excel. So it would be something that you'd have to enjoy too. These images at the bottom are some of our live projects. So this one was with Psych, where students designed the store windows for Christmas last year. The project was about buying better. It was against fast fashion, and it was really, really successful, and students got national press in Draper's magazine and were runners-up in a competition. So that was fantastic. Next slide, please. So fashion communication is a growing area, and also a really exciting area, especially as our consumer habits are changing in the way we buy our fashion. So fashion design and fashion communication work together. So designers and retailers need to project the right image and let the customer know about the clothes of the season. So if you're studying fashion communication with us, you would be working on mainly making images, so rather than designing. So next slide, please. So you'd be working for PR agencies, magazines and fashion brands. You'd be looking at styling, editorial, doing fashion marketing and fashion PR. So that's trying to promote the fashion products to get them into store. So a really wide range, very growing industry there. These images are actually from Bridget, one of our graduates. This was a zero waste fashion collection she made, and this got we actually worked with a fashion photographer, and it is actually published work now in a magazine, which is fantastic. Yes, next slide, please. So just to finish, there's a huge rise in the use of 3D digital fashion, and this is particularly after lockdown. And I just wanted to show you an animation which is being made from our computer games and fashion design graduates who've worked together to show how you can communicate digitally in 3D fashion. So this is a really exciting area, and I think ahead of us there's going to be new roles created where we can use fashion using avatars. There's already robot influencers on Instagram, and it's becoming more and more important. So watch this space, I think, for that one. Thank you, everyone. That's everything from me.
Thanks, Lynn, and that's really fascinating about the digital 3D future that we're looking forward to. Okay, so now we've got Paul Stewart, who's going to tell you about fine art.
Thank you, Sarah. So I'm Paul, and I'm the co-course leader for the fine art degree here at Teesside. Next slide, please. Art and a career. So one of the major reasons is simply because of the fact the study of the arts is a broad subject which encapsulates many passions and can support the development of many skills across multiple mediums towards a career of your choice. Next slide. One of those careers, obviously, for instance, is becoming a studio artist. Next slide, please. So it allows you to develop your own methods of making and your own studio vision. It gives you a knowledge of how things work and how to explore making with a whole new world of possibilities. Next slide. To expand possibilities of scale and experience is one example. Next, please. And it's also important about seeing what is possible. Some forms of making, just to name a few, can be from sculpture to printmaking to drawing and painting, and our students have gone on to work within moving image, photography, VR and AR and digital media. Next slide, please. It's pushing the boundaries of what is seen as art and commenting on the world around us. Next slide. Another career option, and this is Helen Welford, one of our assistant curators at MIMA, is becoming a curator. The possibility to understanding the display of work and facilitation to support an interaction with our public and the facilitation of supporting others to make work. Next slide. It's about thinking about histories and exploring our relationships to it. And the next image is thinking about collections and what it means to collect and why. It's an image from the MIMA collection itself. And in the next image as well, you'll see inside the MIMA collection and thinking around the ideas and relationships of a career in archives and conservation. So sustaining and recognising our history within art practice. Next, please. It's also about documenting and understanding what a composition means and what it means to comment on the world. In the next image, you'll see a series and selection of different career options our alumni have followed. And it isn't just the example of being an artist or a drawer or a painter that you might consider, but taking the skills of problem solving, of leading independent projects and applying them to everything from working as a digital coordinator to a secondary school teacher to a community arts worker, and also directing and forming their own international art festivals. Next slide, please. Here's an example of two of our graduates, Bobby Benjamin and Steve Irving, who both studied the BA and MA at Teesside and now run Pineapple Black in Borough in the Hill Street Shopping Centre. So you can think about sustaining and producing your own work and also producing your own art gallery. In the next image, you'll see a selection of different career routes that some of our graduates have followed. So in 2020, Jasmine has now taken up doing a PGCE and has gained from Teesside an experience and a value of networking, curation and exciting the next generation of artists. Katie Bird has now got her own studio and developing an internationally recognised art practice. And the last graduate is now also a lecturer at a university themselves, so also sharing their practice and training the next generation. And in the next slide, you will see a series of images that might not necessarily say very much, but Wet Productions is a production and arts company that's been set up by 3 of our graduates, which has now just received Arts Council funding. So it's also thinking about sustaining your practice, not just as getting a career in an organisation, but becoming a freelance artist. About sustaining your own work and being your own boss is one of the main routes out of a creative career in all of our subjects, but it's something really predominant within an art context. Next slide, please. So as this video keys up, this is just a couple of artists talking about the experience of studying art practice and the importance of looking and understanding what it means to make work.
There's a deep desire in us to make pictures. I mean, they've been drawing for 30,000 years. The teaching of drawing is teaching people to look. That's what it's doing.
It was really when I was at art school that I started to see the relationship between history, philosophy, politics, and art. Prior to that, I thought that art was just making pretty pictures. Actually, art is connected to, life.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jade. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me, and it's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you, Paul. Some great reasons to study fine art there. And last but by no means least, I'd like to introduce you to Lauren Ridley, and she's going to tell you about interior architecture and home design.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So yeah, at Teesside University, we offer 3 courses based around spatial design. We have a BA Honours in Interior Design, BA Honours in Interior Architecture, and one of our newest courses, which is our BSc Honours in Innovation Home Design and Construction. Next slide, please. Thank you. I'm actually speaking to you today less of a lecturer and more of a graduate, which is hopefully where you'll find yourselves in the not so distant future. I really wanted to start by kind of telling you about, why I actually chose Teesside University in my career choice and my career path. And it was really down to 3 key things. So I chose Teesside University to study interior design BA Honours for 3 reasons. One, on the open day, I was extremely impressed by the staff and the facilities. And not only the fact that they base their experience and the degree around that industry standard and the practices and the software that is actually used. But one thing for me whilst visiting other universities was actually the fact that Teesside was in one campus. It felt like a community. It was a really safe and vibrant place to study, especially a creative course. So I thought that was really key to start off with. Since graduating from Teesside University, I have worked within the industry as an interior designer for 9 years. It's certainly thrown up its challenges and its amazing kind of memories and moments. But 4 years ago, I decided to take the plunge into self-employment, and I've actually created my own interior design practice, which is Studio Alma Limited. I was part of the Changing Rooms generation, for anybody who does know that TV programme. And it really inspired me to kind of understand and be influenced and inspired by how you can actually take someone's home or their business and create a more impactful design and environment around that. As you can see kind of by the comments on screen, I've also recently been very fortunate to become a part-time lecturer and staff on the interiors and spatial department courses, which has been a fantastic opportunity to bring my wealth of experience and my skill set from industry and come full circle. So that's really kind of my main message today and my main kind of voice today in speaking to you all. Next slide, please. So what we do at Studio Alma, just to give you a little bit of an insight. So my role as an interior designer is extremely varied. No day is the same, so be prepared for that. It's enjoyable, it's stressful, it's exciting, but actually it's a fantastic career to step into. As a practice, we work across a wide range of projects, and some of which you'll expect to work across if you step into this career, commercial and residential. So that could be someone's home, it could be someone's restaurant, an office space, a show home. With this particular career path and sector, there's absolutely no limits. Through the interior design and architecture, you have the opportunity to change and inspire the way people work, they live and they socialise. Interior design isn't about picking nice colours and pretty cushions. There's a real science behind it, behind the kind of the space planning, understanding people and creating environments that suit, you know, their families, their colleagues or their customers, not only now, but most importantly in the future. The skills that I was taught and experienced within the degree here at Teesside University have directly transferred into not only my 9 years of industry experience, but also my my practice to date. So through the degree, programs and softwares such as Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, AutoCAD and SketchUp have all transported straight into practice and help us to kind of determine our ideas into realities for our client. All of which, as I say, is mentioned and is introduced and taught on the degrees at Teesside University. We work as a practice with leading and local companies to source materials fit for purpose and use our technical skills, cater and create plans and drawn packs through a technical means so that teams on site can install our projects. If you do want to get a real feel for what we do, please follow us on Instagram, which is Studio Alma Interiors. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions as well. Teesside University gave me the grounding to progress into the world as a designer and now as a successful businesswoman as well. Next slide, please. Through the degree, you're going to learn about space planning, as I mentioned, regulations, design psychology, the history of design, just to name a few of the modules in which you study. These skills are developed and nurtured through briefs and live projects, which is a fantastic opportunity for our students to be able to be part of, most recently, which was the Sunderland Eye Infirmary. Along with the support of our fantastic team, all three courses allow you to explore your creative flair, your passion and your skills leading to your final degree show in year 3. As a programme, we are fortunate across all 3 degrees to be able to not only have the experience of 2 lecturers, which both have kind of taught on the degree levels for 20 years plus, but we including myself, and we have a number of professionals who work currently within the industry who come in and teach and work with yourselves to really make sure that you're getting that first-hand industry experience, which is really critical and from my point of view has been, you know, a huge success. It's a really exciting time to be working with an interior design and architecture sector for those who are considering. You know, the world of Instagram has put interiors under the spotlight or simply kind of the effects that are ever changing because of COVID. So I believe that there's never been a more perfect time to consider interior design as a career. Studying interior design, interior architecture or innovative homes, any of our 3 courses here at Teesside, there are many paths that you can take. Next slide, please. And just a few of them are on screen at the moment. Next slide, please. And just to finish, not only are we one of the most established courses celebrating our 50th birthday recently, along with the amazing success stories from our students and graduates across the world. But we've been fortunate recently to not only work with TV personality and architect George Clark on his BSc and MA courses here at Teesside University, but we were one of the first SBID Centre of Excellences in the UK, which means when you graduate from Teesside University, you'll automatically receive a professional student accreditation. Having went full circle from student designer to lecturer, I couldn't be more proud to be part of Team Teesside and would highly recommend making studying at Teesside University the next step in your journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lauren. And yeah, amazing to hear your story from being a graduate to working in the industry to then coming back to teach with us. Thank you. Right, we have a bit of time to answer your questions. So if you can pop them in the Q&A, yeah, we'd be happy to answer any questions or anything that you want to quickly find out about. Of course, you can approach us for more detailed information or just to have a chat to find out if any of these courses are for you. I do actually have a little starter question just to ask everybody. What I'd like to know is, very quickly, how much kind of experience in the subject do you need to start one of these courses? So if I can just ask you, Lauren, quickly, and then move on to everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I had very little, in fact, actually, before I started watching Changing Rooms on the TV and was inspired by that. I actually wanted to be a PE teacher and had kind of geared up all of my GCSEs towards that. And I realised actually it was a passion, but it wasn't the passion to follow as a career choice. So I took some time out to kind of follow my path in terms of A levels. And as I say, I couldn't draw, I'm a very digitally based designer, but actually I had very little experience, but it really didn't make much difference, to be honest. I mean, the support of the staff on the course was second to none from that.
Thanks, Lauren. And Lynn.
Hi there. So I think within the fashion courses, so we'd be looking for not so much previous skills in fashion, but really a creative outlook, enthusiasm, maybe knowledge of some designers, but we're really looking for potential in our students. We want students that we can really work with, because we work with students very closely at Teesside, and so students that we can kind of encourage, motivate, and really sort of launch them into their chosen careers.
Thank you. Paul, what do you need for fine art?
Yes, so I guess with art practice, it's more about this relationship that art is kind of also a comment on everything that we are in our lives. And I think the most important part for an art practice is just a passion to try and communicate that experience in some way. And that's the main thing that we look for in our students when they're applying, is a passion for the thing that they're studying or the thing that they're trying to unpick. Because art can be a variety of different practices, from drawing to performance to installation to painting to moving image, and it's about the exploration of trying to unpick what it means to make work, that we're kind of really looking for passion more than anything else.
Thank you. And Charlie, you can pop your video on, please.
Hi, yeah, can you see me? My video should be on. Yeah, great. Yeah, I think there's an expression well, commonly put around in the industry that it's 20% portfolio, 80% personality for people going to look for careers, and I think that maybe sums it up. Is that, yeah, what my colleagues have said before about being interested in the world around you, observing it, feeling that you've got a comment to make. These are all great things, and it is very much about the attitude, I think, above any sort of technical skills. I mean, obviously, we get students that come to us and they'll have sketchbooks, they'll have drawing, they'll be observing. But really, I think, I had Mark Longworth on the slides there, a motion designer. He came to us and he'd been, as a mature student, he'd been a chef for sort of 5 years working in Michelin-starred kitchens. So he had an attitude of, openness and driving and wanting to achieve something, but he had no real background in the actual subject. And he's gone on to a very successful career. So I think, yeah, absolutely, demonstrate an interest in the world around you, passion in things. As I say, communication, what we communicate is so varied that everybody's got something to offer. And one of the things we do on the course is help people find a way through and work with individuals.
Super, thank you. And Mark, for product design.
Hi. Yeah, we get a lot of students from lots of different backgrounds that come to us to start product design, and we look for people, with the ability to draw and create. We very much look forward to seeing people in their portfolios, to see how they work and the interest that they've got in design and what gets them up in the morning, what makes them want to create things. We're very much a very close-knit course. We get to know our students really, really well, so we can help them develop over those 3 years. We become more of a family in the end. We have very strong alumni, and that's great because they keep coming back to help and support us, which suggests we are doing things well. So just people who have got that determination that we can look at, nurture, and help them to develop and achieve what they want in the end.
Thank you, Mark. And we've got some questions in. Mark, if we just stay with you for the moment, do we get to work on live projects with actual businesses? We
do. We definitely do. I sort of referred to that a little bit in my presentation there. We generally bring live projects in during second year, towards the end of second year, when students have developed those skills. So all students will get to work on live projects, and sometimes those live projects will turn into internships over the summer, which is great. We've worked on things like Berghaus, working on walking shoes, from every form of product design. So definitely. And then in the third year, we encourage students to go out and find their own live projects to develop as their final projects. And again, that can go on to then their first position and jobs.
Thank you. And Lynn, how would this work for fashion?
Okay, so I think within our fashion courses, I think our connections with industry is one of our strengths. So all of the tutors on the course have all worked in industry, so we have amazing contacts that we can bring in to the course. So we also work with like local companies, like for instance you saw in the slideshow with Psych. We take our students to factories and mills, and we also do extracurricular multidiscipline actually sometimes as well, bringing in other design disciplines to work together on some of our projects. At the moment, actually, our students are about to work on a really exciting campaign, which I'm not unfortunately be able to tell you about, but we're hoping that it's going to make national press, so watch this space.
Thank you, Lynn. Charlie, I know this is an important part of your courses. Tell us, how you work with businesses.
Sure, yeah. I think there's, as kind of Mark said about product, is we do live projects in year one, but it's actually from year two, it's actually built into some module experiences. So in year two and year three, we've got modules that are specifically focused around live projects and competitions. I think within graphics, the competitions, there's a whole range of them that come out for some illustration specific. D&AD it covers a broad range of skill bases, and they're set very often by real sort of companies, they're real live briefs. But we also bring in live opportunities from local cultural organisations or local businesses. It was funny during the just the pre-talk here, I had to go and answer the door because it was somebody from a small to medium business in the local area just handing me his card to see whether he could work with our students. So sometimes it's literally that kind of connection, and sometimes it's the more formal national kind of recognition. But it is built in, and the modules are quite flexible as well. So sometimes students find their own opportunities, and we're actually able to bring those into specific modules so the students can work on them and actually get module recognition for them as well on the course.
Thank you, Charlie. And Paul, how does it work in terms of art and businesses?
Yeah, so I guess what the most important part is thinking about all of our staff who teach on the course are also artists and professionals in their own right. So across the staff team, we can integrate this relationship between art making and how it's perceived in the world. So for instance, when I've worked on recent commissions at Durham Castle, and I used to direct and founded a festival in Middlesbrough called Middlesbrough Art Weekender, I had students working with me, and from that experience, they've now been employed in separate institutions from having that experience working directly with the staff. It's also important that when we get into like second year, we have some key modules which are around kind of like placements or internships of working in your own designated creative area, whether that's shadowing an artist or a curator, or working in a school, or setting up your own exhibitions. And I think it's about thinking about what it means to sustain your own work rather than just necessary businesses. So we bring in a series of artist speakers every year, between 16 and 22 of them. And post-COVID or pre-COVID, once we're out of COVID, normally those artists have one-to-one tutorials and also studio workshops with the students. So students get a first-hand experience of like making certain forms of practice or developing ideas that are currently really present in our contemporary art world.
Thanks, Paul. And Lauren, I mean, you've sort of answered this question because, of course, you are also a business in interior design. But could you also tell us, this is linked to another question, a little bit more about the facilities and, you know, the access to like staff and facilities that students will have?
Yeah, so on campus we are situated in the Cook building, so we're very fortunate to have we share the space with Mark and product design, but actually we're across 3 levels there, and students have full access to that, of which there's studio space, and there's a computer lab, and so on. But actually in terms of staff, I think students have more access to us now than ever before, through the likes of Teams because of the influence of COVID on teaching, etc. So we're always here to support, and actually the facilities were the reason that I actually chose Teesside University in my degree path.
Thank you. And if I can just go back to Paul, can you tell us a bit about the facilities in terms of you know, making art?
Yeah, of course. So we have an amazing technical team that also all of the other courses, as mentioned by Lauren, have the Cook workshop and have amazing technicians in it as well. But specifically in fine art, we have 2 amazing colleagues, Craig and Jan, in the print room and the workshop. And those facilities cover everything from woodwork to plaster to resin to welding to screen printing, photo etching. And we also have colleagues who focus on video editing, and we have access to loads of other different forms of art making. So it's an amazing experience at Teesside, because one of the strengths is its technical team who are willing to support and sustain your work, and it's a great kind of environment to make work in.
Super, thank you. And Lynn, what's available to students in terms of fashion?
Okay, within fashion we have our fashion workshop, where we work with students to teach them industrial design and patterning and construction skills. We have a very large print workshop where we have screen printing facilities, and these facilities are actually available for all students, so you don't have to study the fashion with textiles to actually be able to access this. All you need to do is to book a health and safety induction, and then you can access the facilities and work with technicians. So we have very good and experienced technicians that can work with our students. We also have digital fabric printing, so we have synthetic and natural fabrics. Students also can book equipment for photography and video on campus, and we've also got access to photography studios. Students also make fashion accessories by working in our workshop as well, where we have laser cutting and 3D printing.
Thank you. And Lynn, if you can stay on to answer this next question, potentially if you could answer it for everyone, are there opportunities for internships abroad?
Okay, so the answer to that is yes. So there are quite a few opportunities with industry abroad, and also we work with universities as well. So we're working with Marmara University in Turkey, where students are working with the students to develop a fashion collection, so they're making fabric for us and then we're actually making garments. Also we have on campus we have opportunities for students to do projects with India through our international office, and really fashion is a global industry, so as much as anything I think if you go into fashion you will have opportunities. Some of our students have gone to Paris to work on fashion weeks. So I think that, you know, it's a global industry, and I think there's a lot of opportunities for everyone.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, we're down to the last few minutes. So there's a really great question here that I'm going to ask everyone. And if in your answer to this question, you can just add anything in that you wanted to, that you feel may not have been covered. The question is, what is your favorite thing about the area you teach in? And also, this person has said, I'm creative and I want to do a creative degree, but I don't know where to specialize at university. Okay, so let's go to Charlie.
Yeah, you're right. That's a really great question. I think for me, it has to be the flexibility of visual communication. I mean, just hearing about the resources. In my own work, I've kind of worked in generative graphics, which is using sort of scripting algorithms to actually generate graphic responses. I've built a crazy golf course from a graphic design point of view, and I've worked on a heritage project where looking at sort of the, I guess, the end of World War I and the purpose of remembrance, and trying to look at the alternative viewpoints from that. So for me, it's the fact that you've got to, as a graphic designer and an illustrator, you've got to expose yourself to so many other points of view. Every project's different. It's impossible to get bored or stuck in a rut. I think that for me, that is what I love about it. It's the communication, but it's what you have to communicate, what you have to get stuck into, and the methods that you can use and explore to do that.
Super, thank you, Charlie. And Lauren?
I mean, definitely, I would echo what Charlie's just said there. Really, me personally, the favourite thing that I love about what I do is the fact that I can bring my experience and my industry knowledge and my contacts as well from the industry through to the students directly. So I actually organise supplier days where we bring industry experts and companies and brands in to speak to students. And that's a real opportunity for students to be able to grow their network and their understanding. So that's a real thing for me to be able to kind of bring into the university. I think from my job role, I think it's because every day is different. You know, we all live in a house or we work in an office, and there's so much scope that you can have as a creative and as an interior designer or architect, where you're influencing people's day-to-day life and how they feel or how they interact with each other. And I think interiors has a huge spotlight on it at the moment, where you know, it's the place to be. It's such a fantastic kind of sector to work in, and diverse and exciting sector to work in at the moment.
Super, thank you, Lauren. And Mark?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I've been working for a lot of years now, more than I care to mention. But for me, it's the students and the real sense of community we have, especially at Teesside. You know, the studios and the workshops really are a really dynamic place to work. We have open plan students or studios, so all the students across all 3 years get to work together. And the workshops are set up in such a way that we can come and use them as and when we want to. It's all part of the design development process. So if the student's in the studio trying to sketch something and just can't really figure out how it goes together, they can just go down the workshops and make it and realise it. And that's one of the things that is quite unique at Teesside. And I think for me, it's working every day on a day-to-day basis with the students on their projects. The projects are different. All students are different, especially in the third year. So it's working with them to see them develop that and to go on and to pursue great careers. And one of the big things at Teesside is we have a really strong alumni that keep coming back every year to be part of what they've experienced, what they've done, and give something back. And that makes it mean so much to me.
Thank you, Mark. Lynn?
Okay, I think for me, I think fashion is a really fast-paced industry. I think we work with trends, so trends are around us. Basically, you can see trends everywhere. So it's just a really fun and exciting industry, and we also get some great opportunities. We're always getting really great opportunities to work with industry, and that's the bit that I really enjoy the most, because it actually I can see the students developing their concepts, growing in confidence, and then later on kind of leaving us and going on into industry. And at the moment, I think we're having a lot of fun with our 3D digital software that we've just got, and we're going to be working with our games courses on that. So that's just really fun and exciting.
Great stuff. Thank you, Lynn. And Paul?
Yeah, so I guess similar to the question, I think when I was finishing at college, I wanted to do a creative degree and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and that's how I kind of stumbled into art to start with, possibly. And I think that what an art degree offers, similar to what Charlie was mentioning there about visual communications, if that's the route that you're going down, is that it offers such a varied and specific experience. So it allows you having access to all of the different creative practices to think about how you produce a work and share it with a public, or sustain your own individual kind of inquiry or collective. I mean, it's so varied and specific. It's an amazing experience. And I think my favorite part of my job is just how much it changes. So when I worked as a researcher at Tate right through to now, is just people presenting ideas that I've never thought of in my entire life or ever would have thought of myself, and being able to explore them and experience them and to support and see someone visualize that work is just is an amazing experience. And it's a pleasure to work in this sector, just to witness people pursuing their own interests.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you. And I have to say that it's the same for me. I'm actually now a professor of art, but I didn't do a fine art degree at university. So I think the important thing here is to embrace your creativity and, you know, pick one of these areas that really excites you, you can get into, but you can really, you know, explore. This is the beginning of the journey. It's certainly not the end. So I really want to thank Paul and Lauren and Lynn and Mark and Charlie for joining me today. And I want to thank you all for listening and your amazing questions. Please do get in touch with anything else that you want to know. Of course, I really hope that you come and join us at MIMA School of Art and Design, and also take care. Thank you so much.